Coach Prime. Be curious to hear your take because I've been hashtagging fake outrage because that's all I see. It's just a lot of fake outrage, and I'm seeing people trying to discredit that man for what he did the last 3 years at Jackson State, and it's kind of like the we were talking about the Kyrie stuff. It's people that I know never watched SWAC football, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my God, man, what about the kids and what about the SWAC?" I'm like, "Fool, you didn't even care about the SWAC."
Nah.
No, I mean, I don't have any problem.
He owes me nothing, Jay Moore. If I'm as a fan of Coach Prime, he owes me nothing.
I'm not even a fan of Coach Prime like that, but I just think that, look, we can't be upset that there's a lack of African-American coaches in Power 5 schools.
Right.
And then when Deion Sanders gets a job, we're like, he should have taken the job. Why should he have not taken that job? Now, I do understand on some people, because, Deion Sanders was talking about, like, we're trying to do this, and God called me here. It's like, dog, just say you wanted.
Yeah.
Don't bring God into your,
At Jackson, when he was at Jackson State?
Yeah,
still could have happened.
He did it, though.
Yeah, but
he did everything.
I get that. But see, the thing is, Deion Sanders, he had an aspiration to coach. And I think that's what we need.
Started with high school.
He's been coaching for like 15 years, though.
But the thing is, it's like, he didn't want to go sit on somebody's staff as a defensive coordinator or defensive backs coach. He wanted to be a head coach. He wanted to be a head coach now. So,
I mean, he's Deion Sanders.
Exactly.
The way to do that was to, because if he wanted to go at coach at Power 5, they were not going to automatically take him from high school, which they do for other people.
Thank you.
We seen what happened with Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, so they were not going to take him.
He wasn't even on the staff.
They were not going to take him from, Prime Academy or wherever he was doing in Texas, and then say, oh yeah, we're going to have you at one of these, even if it's a sorry Power 5 conference school like Colorado. Like, I forgot Colorado even had a football team.
They won one game this season.
The last time I remember Colorado is when
the 90s. For me,
𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 was there. I remember that because I'm a Steelers fan, and I also
they
remember
used to be good.
Yeah, and no, they won in that. Like, and the thing is, there's their most controversial moment is when they got 5 downs at the University of Missouri, and then went from that level of cheating and just the refs having. Just forgetting what they were supposed to do to winning a national championship. I remember because I was at that game.
Their Heisman is Rashawn Salaam, rest in peace, if I'm not mistaken.
They had another Heisman. The quarterback was a Heisman.
Rick.
Can't remember.
Rick, he played for the Bears too, I think.
He was a bust though.
Yeah, he was Rick.
What's his name?
Rick, something with an M.
Eric Bieniemy was their running back when they won the national championship.
I remember him. Yeah,
so, you should remember. You know why? Because he's the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
There we go.
He can't get a job, but
continues to get passed over. Might I?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's just that bad of an interviewer. But it's hard for me to believe that somebody who has basically had an offense in the AFC Championship with the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years, can't seem to get a full job, and you see some of the bums that they've given jobs.
I mean, it's all politics at the end.
It's all politics.
That's just Saturday.
But that's where we are with Deion. Deion played the game to where, okay, I'm not going to sit on somebody's bench. I'm gonna take this opportunity, and he ran with it. Did a great job at Jackson State, and now understanding how college football is changed with the NIL and the transfer portal, he'll be able to build that team a lot faster.
He got 10 people from Jackson going with him,
including his son Shador and Travis Hunter, the number one recruit in the league.
So
college
I don't have a problem with if it look.
They gonna be better immediately.
Not because first of all, I didn't attend HBCU. My sister did. My cousin did. Clark and Spelman, respectively. And I would say anybody who's got all this, ire for Deion Sanders, when have you given any money to your alumni association?
You never have.
When have you ever just given money because you believe in HBCUs? Because you didn't care anything about HBCUs until Deion Sanders left.
Here's what's funny to me is what I always hear is, what about the kids? I said nobody talked about. I didn't have people like I hate to even give you. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna say his name. One of the worst alumni at Ball State ever. This fool talking about.
He a Warren Central alumni.
Yeah,
too,
him. He's a
guy.
clown. Talking about, man. Oh man, what about the kids and the
He definitely
black
don't
kids?
care.
I'm like, first of all, you don't care. Second of all, I didn't hear anybody talking about the kids at Oklahoma when Lincoln Riley just upped and went to USC. Nobody wrote articles about the kids.
This is the problem.
It was
I
a
have.
coach took a better opportunity and went and leveled up. That's all it was. But for
That's
some
part of
reason,
the game.
Deion has let the whole black race down.
Nah,
They
Look,
really-
you got to understand.
That's
This
the
is
thing right there.
This
though.
is a way for Deion to
let me
eventually
say something.
get to Florida State.
This is the problem I don't like with every time somebody black is in a situation of power. You have people that didn't pay attention to it until this person got on that level,
there we go.
and then want to have an uproar about it when they decide to move on. So you're telling me he's not supposed to better himself? He's not supposed to take a bigger check. He's not supposed to be able to bring his staff on and him not pay them out of his own pocket, for him not to have to do the renovations at the school.
It's also a great lob for his staff. Great
Yeah.
lob for his staff.
Exactly. I mean, he's got $5 million guaranteed for himself, and it's guaranteeing his staff to be paid. I mean, it's a win-win, and I don't see any fault
Dog.
in him taking this job.
They had 2 back-to-back SWAC championships. They about to go to the I think it's the CFS. It's the championship game in Atlanta.
Right.
It's coming up weekend. They gonna win that. He's got the new. To your point, he got the new practice field that he had to pay out of his
paid
pocket
for
to
out of
help
his
get
pocket.
turf field. They got new training
First
rooms,
game,
new
somebody
facilities.
stole all this stuff.
Thank you. They got new
That's what I
locker.
was gonna say.
New locker rooms. They got new facilities. The meeting rooms are new. All that
Come on,
stuff
man.
changed in 3 years. And then one of the kids on his son does the social media for them. And one of the kids that was in the meeting was like, "Coach, I've been around this school since I was a kid. We won 4 games in the past 4 years before you got here."
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Nobody can hear but us.
But now, man, it's like Colorado might not be the ideal situation, but I understand.
Doesn't matter. It's
I
baby
understand
steps.
that you want to level up, so
It's
let that
baby
man level
steps.
up. And I hope he flips it around. I hope Shadora's out there killing. I hope he take whoever he need to take with him and give them opportunities. I'm all for it, man.
Absolutely. And I feel like he did his job. Like when he says that he had a calling to go to Jackson State, I think he succeeded in that.
He
that calling.
exceeded it.
Yeah,
He
exceeded it. I mean, he had him on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
When last time that happened?
Exactly. Never. Did they even have who was the coach for Grambling?
Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson. Was he ever on the cover?
I'm sure he probably was.
He probably
because
was on the
he
inside.
he was a giant back then.
He probably was on the inside.
I wish we had a researcher.
I wish I did know that as well. But still,
he would be
I
the
think
one person.
I think he did what he was supposed to do.
Facts.
He's brought attention to HBCU football. Those of us in Indianapolis, Indiana, and surrounding areas that have like a Circle City Classic or something like that have always been hip to these type of situations or schools.
True.
And now the whole country, the whole world essentially knows about him. So kudos to him, man.
Look, when you
I
go
agree.
onto the Fanatics website, or you get pop-ups and they are selling Jackson State gear.
Come on, man.
And people were, it was, I looked on, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a sweatshirt. I didn't. But then I looked at one point, like the one in my size, it's like only 3 left.
You can't catch like the merch
So like
is so hot.
there were people who probably went to Jackson State who weren't checking for Jackson State
Right.
gear, who are
Unless
now
it was
into it.
what was the college, the historically black college alliance?
Yeah. But I'm just saying this, and also I guess sometimes you got to look at the big picture
Get one of
because
those for loan for Christmas.
you have to see that now, Deion can hire his own assistants. And these are assistants that probably wouldn't get a shot because, of course, like the FC, like sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. And the problem is being black in this country, you can say that we don't know nobody.
Hey,
And so when it get to a point where we can actually be somebody to know, and then we can start putting people in position to where it gets to a point where like, oh yeah, that guy, you can create a coaching tree. It gets to a point where like, there's the Belichick coaching tree, which has been mostly trash, but
don't do that. They got a couple now. Got a couple.
With Josh McDaniels, who was caught cheating multiple times, and he's won like
he learned from the best.
after he lost his first or won his first 6 games and got exposed. He left there and went to the Bears, and then I think he's had a winning percentage of like .21 or something.
He told us no too because he was about to come here and be the coach and double back. He was
glad he
like,
did.
"Nah, I'm
It's
cool."
a safe for the good for the
so
Colts.
once again, like now it's to a point where like there's there was at one point, I'm not sure how extensive it was, but I remember there was a Dungy coaching tree,
Yeah.
and now there'll be a Sanders coaching tree to where, you can pull people up who would have just been running videotape and be like, okay, you'll be the quarterback's coach. And then maybe you can get to be OC. And then, now it also creates opportunities to where it's like, oh, if you see somebody who's successful at an HBCU, that doesn't exclude them from being successful at a Power 5, or at least getting an opportunity to be interviewed at Power 5 schools.
And not to mention James Houston, that plays for the Detroit Lions, is a JSU graduate from last year. He already got a player that went to the league. And he had 3 sacks in his last 2 games. So when's the last time Jackson State had a pro? The SWAC had a pro that came out like Coach Prime.
They've had pros come through the reins.
But what I'm saying,
as far as from HBCUs.
Shout out to Walter Payton.
No, I mean that's one of the goals. I'm talking about.
Guy that played for the Redskins.
Quarterback?
The Bills.
Are you thinking about Doug Williams? Or are you thinking about
Doug Williams?
That's back. Yeah, back. I'm just talking about recently having one of the Jackson State players get drafted to the league. It's been a while, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So shout out to
Peyton
him.
Manning.
Maybe we just ain't paying
Don't do that.
attention.
Don't do that.
Well,
Don't
and
do
once
that.
again, we just haven't. Like you're right.
And I wasn't. I can't cap.
But
I wasn't.
like I said, I barely pay attention to SIU Carbondale football.
Yeah,
the only time I really look up at it is when they beat somebody from the Big Ten, like they did at the end this year.
But this is Eddie George. It's time for him at Tennessee State. Hugh Jackson, because I've been following it since Coach Prime got there. Hugh Jackson. People like that take the torch. Like, keep it popping while you guys are there. Like, they're there now. So keep the swag popping if you can. It ain't going to be like Coach Prime. I know that. But try to keep it popping while you're there.
Deion is a anomaly in itself. I mean, he was
True.
a 2-sport athlete. He went to a Super Bowl and a World Series, won both.
He only won the World. He only won the Super Bowl.
That's right.
But played in a World Series.
Played in the World Series
with
the Braves.
Atlanta Braves. I was a
go
fan
to
of
this
the Braves.
position.
Yeah,
Best
I mean,
cornerback
he was playing both games in the same week.
True.
Same day.
Yeah.
True.
So
yeah, he's different. You're right. He's different. But I'm happy for him, man. I hope they do well. I want to see how his kids transfer over, and that's a little different. That's a different level.
If he wins 4 games next year, that's an improvement. If he can if in the second year becomes bowl eligible, which is only 6 games, that's a big deal. Because like I said, I forgot. Until this story, I didn't even know what conference Colorado was in. I knew because they used to be in something called the Big 8, which doesn't exist anymore.
What are they in now?
Like the Pac-12?
Pac-12?
But like, what is the Pac-12 anymore? Because now like USC and UCLA are going to be Big 10 teams. Like,
why are there so many Big
weird to
10
me.
teams? That just doesn't
It's like
make
the
sense
big-
to me.
It's not even Big 10 anymore.
It's
Big
not.
16.
Yeah, there's
It became like Big 11 in like the late 90s. I remember that. Because it was a big deal that there was more than one.
No. It was 2000s.
Was it
Because when they put
2000s?
Rutgers and
It was like Nebraska or something.
yeah, they
Was
put
it?
because Nebraska. That's another.
For some reason I was thinking it was like
That's
the late
another
90s.
team that used to be in the
It was
Big
fairly
8.
recent.
Oh.
I was very familiar with Big 8 because all those teams used to come to University of Missouri and hang 70 on them. It was bad.
Yeah, because I went to Purdue and we were a Big 10 team, and when I was still in school, we were still Big 10. That was through 2006, 7, 8.
And that's the Big Ten that schools like that is the Big Ten I remember.
Purdue,
Iowa,
Indiana.
So who was the
Michigan.
11th team that came?
I thought it was like Nebraska or something.
It was somebody that was weird. That
No,
it
it
felt
was
like they weren't
Rutgers.
supposed to be
No,
there.
I don't think it was Rutgers at first. I think it was like a Nebraska. I think that's who.
Yeah, 'cause-
Penn State was already in there.
Penn State was already in there.
Yeah, Penn State was there.
We need a
But
stat person.
anyways, unless the 11th, like to Terry's point, unless that happened and they still called it 10 for a while. But
Yeah, I think they.
But I remember
think
their
it
logo.
was.
But the logo changed. It was like a 1 and a 0 kind of.
It was a 1 and a 0, but it had a 1 going through the 0.
That's what I mean. That wasn't until.
Hey, Gobinator, if you out there, man, see what the 11 team was. See, he young, he'll know.
Jeezy said it was Penn State.
Nah, that's
Nate Jeezy,
Biggie.
okay.
So if it was Penn
What was
State,
Penn State
then
before, or was Penn State independent or something?
Penn State was always in the Big
I always
Ten.
thought Penn
That's
State
what
was
I
always
thought.
a Big 10 team.
Yeah.
At least Independence was like Notre Dame.
but it could have been the 11th team that came in the 90s though.
Maybe that's
because
It's
for some reason
possible.
I remember the Big Ten going to 11 in the 90s.
Maybe they did. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nate said
It is
he's
Notre Dame.
thinking it's Penn State.
It is Notre Dame. Notre Dame did come too. Notre Dame. Are they in the Big Ten now?
No,
No,
they're independent.
they've always been
They're
independent.
independent for football, but they're like Big East for basketball.
Yeah.
So they're like
Yeah.
they're like a centrist. They're like a Bernie
Sun-kissed.
Sanders out here.
Sunkiss.
I said centrist.
Oh,
He definitely says interest.
Interesting.
I heard it different. My fault.
You over there thinking about orange soda? problem.
Pop, sir.
You keep talking,
We say
man,
pop.
and you shut the up, huh?
Rest in peace, my man, D. Gregory, man.